Is in Pennsylvania. Rich Edson is in Pittsburgh, PA, with a look at today's high-stakes contest. Rich.
Hey, good afternoon, Charles. And Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman's campaign is hosting his watch party here in the Pittsburgh area tonight. Fetterman won't be there. He's been in the hospital since Friday with a stroke, and his campaign has just released this statement saying, quote, John Fetterman is about to undergo a standard procedure to implant a pacemaker with a defibrillator. It should be a short procedure that will help protect his heart and address the underlying cause of his stroke, atrial fibrillation, by regulating his heart rate and rhythm. His campaign also released this photo showing the Progressive Democrat cast an emergency absentee ballot from the hospital in Lancaster. Fetterman says he expects to be back on the campaign trail soon, though that only happens if he wins his primary today. He's up against Congressman Connor Lamb, who's running as a more centrist candidate, who's touted winning in a congressional district former President Donald Trump won overwhelmingly. The top-tier Republicans, meanwhile, all voted in person today. Dr. Mehmet Oz, David McCormick, and Kathy Barnett. Former President Trump is pushing for Oz, even releasing a robocall asking Republicans to vote for him, criticizing Barnett and McCormick. Barnett hit right back.
He is not Jesus, so he gets to be wrong. And on this, he's wrong. And the people here in Pennsylvania, praise God that they get to choose.
McCormick and especially Oz have piled on Barnett after her homophobic and Islamophobic tweets and statements emerged. Both also argue they can take former President Trump's policies to the Senate.
We're extremely excited. We feel like voters are focused. As you know, there's lots of undecideds, and they're asking themselves three questions. I mean, they're worried about where the country's going.
We need to get our mojo back, and that's done by having strong leaders who articulate conservative values, who understand what Pennsylvania stands for, pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, pro-energy, and can get those messages heard clearly in Washington.
This currently is a Republican-held seat. Senator Pat Toomey is
retiring.
3 hours,
Should be getting results tonight.
Charles, back to you.
Everyone's on pins and needles. Thanks a lot, my friend. So, will Pennsylvania's GOP primary be a sign of things to come as we head into the midterms?
Pennsylvanians finally figure out what everybody else knows.
Journal, Fox News political analyst Gianno Caldwell.
I doubt it,
Democratic
but
strategist Jason Nichols. Eliza, let me start with you. President Trump, pretty good track record so far in some of these earlier votes. A lot at stake. What does it mean, though, for the midterms? I'm sorry, Gianno, let me start with you.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.
You know, I think it means that obviously Dr. Oz has a really good, strong shot. But the problem is, though, Kathy Barnett, she's someone that people view as a true conservative. They don't view Dr. Oz as a true conservative. And we see the attacks that are coming from the establishment left and right, which has Pennsylvania voters scratching their heads and saying, you know what, if the establishment is attacking Kathy, then she must be the one that I should support. We know that polls don't vote, like my old friend Marty Morris used to say, but the polls are strengthening up.
Who do you think's going to win the primary in Pennsylvania?
And Democrats need to be on the lookout because Joe Biden is polling so badly and all across the country. 80% of the country's 80% of voters say the country's on the wrong track. 33% of people approve of Joe Biden
new shootings today.
And it's not looking too good for them in terms of excitement.
Little kids.
It's going to be an interesting race on both sides tonight.
Certainly is. You know, Jason, I remember not long ago, Connor Lamb was considered a superstar. But apparently he's going to be trounced today. So is that the kind of momentum you want to see with your candidate?
We'll bring you the results when it's over. 4 hours to go.
No. I'm saying it looks like he's going to be trounced today. That's what I said.
Go Oz.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, he's going to get trounced, and the reason is the same reason that Gianna was talking about in terms of Dr. Oz and McCormick, and that is that he comes across as somebody who is establishment, somebody who's kind of suit and tie, corporate. And I think that Pennsylvanians, particularly, I lived in Pennsylvania for a long time. It's a working class state. It's a state that people aren't going to connect with someone like Connor Lamb or like McCormick, or certainly like Dr. Oz, who they see as more of a Hollywood kind of character. So I think Kathy Barnett has an opportunity. I think that actually strengthens the opportunity that Fetterman has moving forward as someone who is a little more reasonable, a little more in the center. I think the United States of America, and particularly in Pennsylvania, is a centrist nation. And I think that, people like Mastriano and Kathy Barnett are a little bit out of the mainstream. And I think at the same time, they don't want these corporate figures And I think someone like Fetterman has a really strong chance, despite how Joe Biden is polling.
So, Elijah, let me come back to you. There's always that dilemma. The candidate in the primary may not be the perfect candidate in the general election. Is that what the Republicans are looking at right now?
Republicans and Democrats are certainly looking at that, but I think that's where you're seeing a lot of concern from national Republicans and some Republicans in the state about, a surge from Barnett. There's concern that she is easier to take down in a general election. And so we're starting to see she has not been vetted. She was not one of the top candidates. And so in the final days,
The
this
dog
is all
hasn't been
coming
to the
out,
vet.
more and more things about her past that just has not been covered. And Republicans, I think, are getting a little bit nervous about having a candidate where they don't know what's behind every corner. McCormick and Oz, both campaigns spent millions of dollars trying to sort of take the other one out. The problem is, while they were doing that, she was able to just keep rising without any criticism.
And to that point, Gianno, it really is amazing. On one hand, a lot of folks say that she is the personification of the sort of MAGA us versus them, and that's why she's attracting so many, and she went under the radar for so long. By the same token, though, President Trump seems to be playing a different sort of political game. He wants to win. And then, so I know people are pushing back. They don't think Oz is a typical MAGA-type candidate, but it feels like President Trump has tacked a little bit, and he's looking at the bigger picture. Is that the right move?
Well, sure. In a political situation like this, a campaign, sure, you want to make sure you're going to have a candidate that's going to do well in a general election. But here's the issue, though. Kathy can win, and people said the same thing about Donald Trump in 2016. They said that he couldn't win. Kathy can win, and we see the numbers. Joe Biden, for example, has lost 20% of black voters, Hispanics, and young people. The New York Fed said that inflation was going to increase by 3.9% in 3 years. So that's going to be right into the general election. Democrats are going to have a hard time, not just in this season right now, but 4 years from now. So this is a telling story that inflation is going to continue. The economy is likely going to get worse. We might go into a recession. So at that point, Democrats, or rather mainstream folks, I'm talking about the independents, which really makes the difference, are going to be looking for people who are going to be looking out for their pocketbooks in terms of taxes, not raising taxes, and staying away from this woke political stuff.
The primary battle continues. Who do you think will win?
It seems like a real uphill battle
4 hours to go.
in the midterms.
Go Eyes.
No, that's without question. It's going to be a tough road.
Thank you for watching.
I think one of the
Have a good day,
as I said,
and thanks for all the new subscribers.
As long as Republicans keep putting up difficult to elect
See you tomorrow.
candidates.